Hi, my name is HuiJuan Lv. I'm a senior research fellow at Joslin Diabetes Center, Harvard Medical School. So the question is why I got into immunology. So actually it's a long story, and it's a story I never expected. And I think almost 10 years ago or something, and I went to an interview by a Harvard professor in my institution where I got my PhD. And at that time, actually, I had no background in immunology at all. I was working on something like plant-in virus. But for some reason, the professor, he chose me to be the postdoc in his laboratory. So I came all the way from China to here. And so basically I started my immunology career here, starting from textbook, basically. And as soon as I started started to self-teach immunology by reading textbook, going to the classes of the actual undergrad class, because I had no background and knew nothing about immunology. I just feel immediately hooked into this field because it's so complicated compared to what I had been studying for quite a few years. And at that time I was reading a book called Complexity. It's a book about the emerging field dealing with the very complicated system. And at that time, I felt immunology's some fields really related to that new emerging concept. So, because I was intensively reading in that field, and I was studying immunology, and I just feel these two fields actually can kind of fused together very well. And actually at that time already there was some scientists, they apply the basic concept of complexity field to immunology study, especially I think in something like antibody or B-cell study at that time. But anyhow, that was the reason I really became very interested in immunology, but gradually I realized immunology is really, really complicated and sometimes even overwhelmingly complicated. And it took me so long to really grasp some concept and idea of this field. And also it took me so much time in the laboratory to train myself to get used to the very specific systems of immunology. But I think it took me much longer time than other people to really kind of stay in this field, and really still have this passion for this field. And these days, I don't think I still at that stage yet to really think about combine what I really passionate about, the complexity and immunology. I think it's still a long way to go to really apply some new concept of this complexity to immunology study, but I do feel immunological field really needs some new concepts to deal with this more and more complicated system. The more we study, the more we realized it's just impossible for us to really understand this disease mechanisms, the human immune system, just by the concepts we've been applying for so many years. Since they are very fundamental, they're very central, but we do need a more complicated way of thinking to really push immunology forward. This is how I feel, and I still feel very glad that I still hold this passion despite a lot of difficulties I have experienced. And that's the reason I came here, the 100 years anniversary of Immunological Society, and I just feel I cannot miss this history.